welcome to my channel. My name is Brianne Beebe. I teach high school math, and today I'm participating in the Teacher Mom Tag. I feel like anything else that I'd want to add to that intro is addressed in the questions, so let's just get to it. I have one son. His name is Russell. He just turned 1 year old last month. My husband and I do intend to have more children. I really do not want him to be an only child or to grow up alone. I have 2 younger siblings, but they are nowhere near getting ready for having children. So as it is right now, he's the only grandchild, and I just don't want him to be alone. I was a teacher first. I was in my 6th year of teaching when I was pregnant. So when I told my principal, I just went into his office and told him. It was right before winter break, and I was planning to announce the pregnancy on Christmas Day on Facebook. So I let him know ahead of time because I didn't want him to hear it from someone else. So I was expecting to come back from winter break and tell my students right away, but I'm so uncomfortable just talking about myself like that, so I never said anything. Some students knew already because of their siblings that were former students of mine being my friend on Facebook. They saw the announcement, so their siblings knew, but they didn't broadcast it to everyone else, which was really cool. I really did not plan out how I was going to tell my students, but about 2 to 3 weeks after winter break, I had this cough, stuffy nose, congestion that had not gone away since coming back from break. And so my students were kind of like, why are you still here? Why haven't you taken a day off? You know, if you're sick, you shouldn't be here. You can get the rest of us sick. And so that's when I finally told them, you can't catch what I have. I'm pregnant. It has nothing to do with being sick, which that was a pregnancy symptom I did not even know existed. So one class in particular found out that way. I don't remember most of my other classes how I told them, but it was around the same time. One class though, I remember earlier that day, I broke up a fight. Like I got right in the middle of it. Forgot I was pregnant. Completely forgot, and was just completely concerned with making sure that my students were safe and not harming each other. It happened right in my classroom. I mean, really, what else could I have done? So later that day, I had kids kind of just messing with me like, well, why didn't you do this and why didn't you do that? And I'm like, well, I did break it up. I got right in the middle of it, and I shouldn't have because I'm 5 months pregnant. And that was how my one class found out, and they had no idea. I think it was all boys in that class actually, and that's why. So while my husband and I are at work, my son is with my mother. For my entire life, my mother's job has been doing in-home childcare, so it just made sense and it's easy, and he's with grandma, so there really is nothing better than that. When it comes to balancing work and life, I compartmentalize really well, so when I'm at school, I'm really focused on work and school. I go to school early to get stuff done, and I maximize my prep periods as much as possible to make sure I'm getting everything done that I possibly can at school so that I can come home and just spend time with my family. And there's days where that doesn't work, and there's days when I come home from work and I have to still do a little bit more work, but my husband and I work together to figure that out, and I try really hard just to be present when I'm home. One thing that I did in the past year that really helped was on Saturdays, I would spend a few hours at my local library catching up on stuff for school. This past year for me was difficult because I had so many preps and I was teaching brand new courses, so that required more time and energy than a normal school year would. So when I'm home and my husband and I have stuff that we both need to get done, we have traded time. So I've had like an hour to work on something while he stayed with our son, and then we switched off. So that worked out pretty well. And then if I have work to do that's kind of like mindless, like something simple to do on the computer, or like cutting out laminated things, I will do that in the same room as my son. So I'll be able to watch him and interact with him, but also get that stuff done because, like I said, it doesn't really need my full attention. So kind of multitasking. Sometimes I feel guilty about it, but realistically, he needs to play on his own. He needs to learn how to do that independently and to use his imagination without mommy guiding him. So I think it's okay. Plus, I think he's only going to learn from seeing mommy work. So it's something that I do sometimes, but certainly not all the time, because I also feel guilty when I do that too. It's just difficult because I know that it is beneficial to him, but I also just want to give him everything. So I have noticed a difference in teaching since I've become a mom, and it's not specifically teaching, but last year I had hall duty, so it's not fun. You're walking around the hall, telling kids to go back to class, checking passes, etc. So you're interacting with students, and sometimes they're doing something that they're not supposed to be doing, and you're the one that's caught them. So they catch an attitude with you, and you have to basically deal with it. So I had that happen with a student that was just relentless, like just angry for no reason, had nothing to do with me. And that was the kind of interaction that would have had me absolutely fuming in the past, and that I would have like dwelled on and gotten really annoyed about. But I feel like since becoming a mom, I could not care less and was kind of laughing it off a little bit, like not laughing at the student or anything, but just kind of like, okay, okay. And I don't know, it just completely changed how I approached the situation and took care of it. So I know I had other instances like that where I just realized like my approach to classroom management, I think, has changed. I'm a little bit more laid back. When I talked this over with a colleague and we're kind of analyzing it, his insight was once you become a parent, you realize that there are bigger, way more important things to worry about than this one interaction that you had with a 7th grader that was mouthing off. The best advice that I've been given this past year as a new mom was to have a routine and not a schedule. That was a huge mindset shift for me because I would have routines based around a schedule and it was just me and my husband. So bringing a baby into the mix who is changing every single day and whose routines change and the timings will change, especially if we didn't get a nap or the nap happened at a different time. Just having a routine in place and not worrying about the schedule was very, very freeing. For teacher moms, what I would advise is trying to keep school at school by using your planning time as much as possible, and sometimes even starting the grading while the kids are still in the room is fine. Any little thing that you can find at school to keep your schoolwork at school, go for it. In my planner, I would routinely plan out what I was doing by planning period so that I would get to my planning period and be able to hit the ground running doing all the stuff I had to get done. So that's everything for this video. I hope that it was helpful for the other teacher moms out there. It's hard being a teacher, and it's hard being a mom, so it's pretty hard being a teacher mom, but you got this. If you have any questions or anything that you want to add, please leave it in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.